Hey, my loves. This is just a quick little trigger warning. We are going to discuss some sensitive matters revolving around suicide talk. So please just be aware if you need to pause, leave the room, put in headphones. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to our podcast. We are the Babbling Sisters. I'm Nellie.
And I'm Steph.
Hello, Steph.
Hi.
Today, we're talking about suicide awareness. As you guys know, September is Suicide Awareness Month. So we figured we would touch on the matter just ever so slightly. First things first, let's just put it out there. If you are feeling suicidal or have suicidal thoughts, need someone to talk to, there's definitely help. Just text 988. You can even call.
Yep.
But I know for me, texting is so much easier.
Oh man. I was just thinking
Especially like when you don't know what to say or it's just a whole lot of things bubbling up. Sometimes it's hard to verbalize, but you can write things out easier, right? So I'm glad that it's evolved to be able to text.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say if
Should I
it was
ever-
there when I was younger, that would have been. I never would have called. Like, no, talk to
Right.
someone. No.
What? You want me to use words? You must be crazy. So, my loves, this is a very serious topic, but I also want to try to keep it light and informative. I don't want to. Suicide can be very daunting, very scary, and especially when we don't understand it, right? Because unless you've had suicidal thoughts, um, then you can't understand. And people automatically assume that suicidal thoughts mean that they're about to go kill themselves right then and there, and there's nothing you can do. Um, but in actuality, them verbalizing that they're having suicidal thoughts is a cry for help and a very good sign that they'll be okay.
Yeah.
It's the ones that are very quiet that you see disengaged and pulling back from everyone, that are more of an immediate crisis concern. Um, but not everyone who has suicidal thoughts need to go to the hospital, need to be in a hospital. I am a firm believer that yes, they need professional help at some point, but you have to also assess the crisis, right?
Yep.
We're not professionals by
No.
any means,
No.
but we have dealt with suicidal thoughts. I've known people that have attempted, I've known people that have succeeded. I myself, younger, have attempted,
Same.
you know? So we're speaking from a place of our experience and not professional. And like I said, everyone at some point in time needs the professional help,
Yeah.
but it's not always an immediate crisis. Um, One thing I'll definitely say is one thing I've noticed that has helped, like even myself, and friends, is when you're in that mind frame, like you feel like that's the only solution, right? Like everything just seems overwhelming. So for people that don't understand and have never had suicidal thoughts or maybe never even spoke to someone that has been in that mind frame, at that moment in time, everything just seems like it's doom. No, you can't see the good. You're dissociated from the present. You're living in whatever situation is going on. You can't see past it
Right.
to be able to look at the future. So you're like, that's it. Um, I've heard from a friend who told me that they felt like people would be better off without them.
Yeah.
Um, and I would say, doing research and speaking to people who have attempted and who have not succeeded and are still here, they say the one thing that either stopped their attempt, or made them reach out, like, hey, I just took a whole bunch of pills, was the fact that they then associated the person who reached out to them. They didn't want them to find them. They didn't want to hurt them. They thought about it after. Because they, in that moment, the person doesn't realize the negative impact it's going to have on anyone. Like, they're like, oh, everyone will be fine. They'll be much better without me. I'm the problem.
Right, exactly.
You know? So, honestly, like, being there and telling someone, like, hey, I love you. Hey, I support you. Hey, I know stuff is going on, but I need you here. And making them feel in the moment and feel present is what's most important. Like, you have to ground them in a sense, you know, like, and it easily could just be like, hey, I'm thinking about you.
Simple
What's going
that.
on?
Yep.
You know? I literally had a friend tell me, like, I reached out to him and was like, hey, you crossed my mind. I'm thinking about you. Like, we should meet up. And he was like, you saved my life. Because he felt like no one cared.
Yeah.
You know, you get into that mind frame where it's just like, nobody gives a fuck about me. I'm better off dead.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the case. But people are so busy in their day to day that they tend to not see the people who are drifting to that.
It's hard, especially if there's some people like myself who go in and out of wanting to have social interactions. So there might be some times when I'm like reaching out and chatting every day and sending funny stuff, and then there's other times where you're not going to hear from me for days to weeks, some people even months. Like, so it's hard. And if you're not, you know, just reach out every now and then. If you think about them, just reach out. Just say, hey.
That's you have to know the person as well, right? So, like, for you, like, that wouldn't be like a huge thing to me. Right. Well, I mean, I live next door, so you can't avoid
I can't avoid you. Not anymore.
But, like, right. But, like, when I lived far away, like, that wasn't like a huge flag.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, if I heard a tone change in your voice, I'd be like, what's up? What's wrong with you?
Right.
You know, that's knowing the person. But, you know, I really want to stress the point that if someone is going to, like, so there's a difference between someone who's having suicidal thoughts and someone who is absolutely going to attempt to take their life. There's different levels.
Absolutely.
And I think as a society, we tend not to talk about suicide.
No. Just like any mental health issues,
Yeah, it's always like, oh, yo, don't even think about it. Don't even talk about it. No, you absolutely have to talk about it. And you have to feel comfortable and confident enough to ask. Like, if you know someone is depressed, ask them, hey, are you suicidal? Are you having suicidal thoughts? And if they tell you yes, ask them, like, what are you thinking? Like, what's your plan? Do you have a plan? Do you have a time frame?
See where they're
because
at,
that's going to show you how deep of a crisis they are. Like, some people will say, nah, I don't have a plan, I don't have a time frame, I'm just thinking about it. That just shows you that yes, they need help, but it's not an immediate crisis. If they have a plan and they have a time, pick up the phone and call 911. They need you for a while, but when they come back down and come out of that, they'll understand, because you absolutely love them and you had to save their life and get them the help. But I would say feel empowered to ask the question. You know, more often than not, we don't want to ask the question, and that's where you come into the problem, right? That's where you come and you start blaming yourself, like, oh, I could have prevented it if I only would have asked, or, you know, I could have did more. But in all honesty, you can't. If a person is to that point, there's nothing you can say or do that is going to stop them. That's when they need professional help. And I feel like, as you know, family members and friends of someone who has committed suicide, you feel a tremendous amount of guilt. And you always put it on yourself, like, oh, well, if I would have just did this, if I would have just said that, if I would have, shoulda, coulda, wouldas, until you're depressed in a mental crisis, because you then take it upon yourself. But there's absolutely, like, you can't put it on yourself. You, like, sometimes, like I said, I know I shared before, I had a friend who I was on FaceTime with for almost an hour talking to him, and he seemed very distant and he wasn't himself, he wasn't his bubbly self. but he was also doing a lot with work and school, and I'm like, all right, he's just exhausted.
Right.
And after that, immediately after we got off the phone, he attempted to take his own life. And he hit me up weeks later and told me, like, I don't want you to be mad at me, but after we got off our call, I tried to kill myself. And I was like, oh my God. And I took it, I had to take a step back and be like, what did I miss? The signs, that I made excuses for, but it wasn't my fault because he showed me what he wanted to show me.
Right.
He told me what he wanted to tell me, and I loved him, and I took it at face value, and I said, okay, you're just tired. I get it. We all get tired.
Right.
You can't blame
You're not going to
yourself for
be able
not.
to catch everything. You have to give
Even
yourself
it
some
doesn't matter how
patience
much you
and
know of
grace. Right.
And I think that's one of the things, that supporters of people who have suicidal issues, and mental health issues, like, we struggle with, because we're like, oh my God, I should have known. I should have saw it. But there's so many different signs and so many different levels to it.
Right.
That
Depression is a tricky thing, man.
And that's why I say
Yeah.
ask the fucking question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Reach
Because
out to your
you're
friends.
never gonna know.
Do mental health check-ins. We've said this before. Like, even if you don't think that they're necessarily in a crisis at one point or another, we all deal with it. So every now and then, just check in with your friends and your loved ones and say, "Hey, mental health check. How you doing? What's going on?"
Right.
Like just basic, just simple. Like, you don't have to be thinking that they're necessarily in a crisis. Any one of us can be in a crisis at any moment. Any one thing can trigger any one of us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. So just every now
Yeah.
and then, check in with your family and your friends.
Yeah.
Check in on those that you care about.
I think, and also, don't take it so much upon yourself that it's your burden.
No, yeah, it's
right?
not. It's definitely not.
Do what you can. If someone says to you that they're having issues, then be there for them. Most of the time, even just sitting there, you don't even have to talk half the time. Just being present and, like I said, grounding them in that moment, letting them know that they are loved, just by you taking your time and being there, can change their whole world.
Sometimes just sitting with them is all they need.
Yeah.
Like, they don't even necessarily need to talk. Sometimes just sitting with someone and knowing someone is there for them. Yeah.
One thing I will say, in a quote that has always stuck with me since I was young, someone once told me that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Yep.
And when you are in that moment, you don't think that the problem is temporary, and being able to let someone know this is gonna pass, even though it feels like it's not, will definitely be huge.
Absolutely.
I feel like since we were younger, like, things have changed. Like, there's a lot of help for people, like the text that I said earlier.
Yeah.
They have a chat, they have a hotline.
The one for US is 988. I just wanted to say it again. And I am going to have a list because I know we have viewers and listeners in other parts of the world. I'll have a list that I found that has all the numbers. Huh?
Watching me on video, like, Donnell, what are you doing? I keep sliding out of my chair. It's my sweatpants that I have on, guys. They're slippery. My butt. I keep sliding.
But I will have a list of all the numbers, and most of them now you can text, you can call. They have all those options.
And if you're in that moment and you're in the I don't want to live, reach out to someone. If you can, like, reach out to a friend, reach out to a loved one that is not going to judge you, or and it's so hard because everyone processes it differently, right? Mental health is processed differently from everyone, and I know that there are some of our family members who would be like, oh, stop being fucking crazy, like, cut the shit, like, that's ridiculous. And then there are other ones who be like, what do you need? I'll sit with you. Do you need something? You want some food? Like, there are those that understand, but this isn't something you can pray away. This isn't something you can just, say, get the fuck over it, like, you're being crazy. Like, it's not that easy, okay? It's not. Um, what I'll say from someone who I've known, people that have um, succeeded in committing suicide, um, one that I was close to, one that I wasn't that close to, but I hung out with him a lot. Um, it's difficult, right? So it's difficult as the surviving party, is what I call it, um, to know that this person left and to know that it could have been prevented, um, and being unsure of what I could have done to change the outcome. It's a lot on the families. I've
You,
seen their families go through so much,
that's
and
true.
like the person in the moment doesn't realize it. And I feel like if we talked about that more, and the families talked about it more, of what I would feel like or what I would do if you ever left, because they don't see that, right? So I feel like you need to be very honest in that moment of, if you killed yourself, I would fucking die. There'd be no coming back from that. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't be the same. Like a whole piece of me would be gone. And I feel like that's something you need to say,
Mm,
because they don't feel that though. You know
no,
what I mean? Like it's
I know
not
what
a
you're
it's not
saying.
a I'm trying to guilt trip
I
you,
know what you're
like
saying. Yeah,
you
it's
should kill
it's it's
yourself.
a slippery like I guess it depends on the person too, like
Yeah.
how they would respond to that. But yeah, I understand what you're trying to say. I get it.
Yeah. No, I would definitely say it. If you leave me, I'm gonna fucking die. Like, don't leave me. Like, because they don't feel like their death is gonna be an impact. That's a
Right.
huge
It's
thing.
true.
And if you talk to like any suicide attempt survivor, like they would say, like, I didn't realize how much it would put on my family. I didn't realize how much people would care.
Right.
I thought that if I was to be gone, I'd be out of sight, out of mind. Nobody would care. They'd go on about their day-to-day life. But it leaves a huge fucking void in a lot of people, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't realize it.
It's true.
And after my friend's attempt, like I started like looking into it and like listening to videos of survivors, and that was like one of the big things that they said, like just somebody letting me know that they care and that they would miss me changed my mind.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, bitch, I fucking miss you. Don't you do this shit to me. Kick your ass. You die, I'm gonna come back and kill you myself. Like, don't do that shit to me. Like, it's just, I'm joking. I wouldn't be that rude. I mean, I might.
Depends on who it is.
I mean, if it was you, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd threaten to kill you myself. Don't you ever fucking do that shit to me, bitch.
No.
We'll come get you.
You're the only reason I didn't do it. You were the reason I stopped when I was younger, so.
See? Because I'm just fucking amazing.
No,
You
the
didn't want
the
that on.
thought of you finding me and or leaving you with her was what
By
made me
myself.
stop. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad. I'm happy, and it's funny because I say, like, I'm happy you fucking failed.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I'm happy people fail at. I'm genuinely happy that you're still here. I'm genuinely happy that you fucking failed. Like, that's
Every
something to celebrate.
single life matters. Every single one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of people feel like they're alone, or they're made to feel like they're crazy,
Right.
and that they're the only ones who are feeling this way. I guarantee more of the population than not is feeling the same exact way
True.
at any given time. There's so many stress factors and so many things that are put on people, and just life in general, that it can just seem so very overwhelming. And if you don't have an outlet or you don't have a support system, it's even worse.
Yep.
And I mean, there are a lot of places in this country, even the US, that like mental health is not taken serious. It's not treated as a health issue.
Right. I'm hoping it feels like there's been a slight shift in that, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping. I mean, it's going to take a long time, but I'm hoping that people, especially I know with my kids, like their generations, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, like them and their friends, they seem to be a lot more open and communicative with each other about feelings and how people are and all that. Like they just seem to be more open in general. So I'm hoping that we're going to be seeing that shift within the next few decades of more people being more sympathetic to it and allowing people to have that space to be able to talk about it.
I feel like things are talked about a lot more than it was when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was not talked about.
Mm-mm.
It's extremely taboo to discuss it. It was covered up a lot. You know, even when people did commit suicide, it was covered up as, oh, it was an accident, or it was this, or it was that.
Mm-hmm.
So I guarantee you a lot more people committed suicide than we realized. It just wasn't talked about because it was crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And having those thoughts is crazy. Like you need to be locked up and locked away. And it's just, now I feel like things are a lot more understood. And like you said, I mean, like even the younger generation and even our generation, changing the narrative and saying like, nah, that's no.
Well, we're raising them too, so I think that you know, so
let's discuss this shit. Let's have an open conversation. Like, have you ever thought about this? Like, have you ever thought about that? Like, just being very open and understanding and not judgmental is fucking huge, and changing the narrative of we don't discuss this to, oh yes we do, we're gonna talk about it. You know, I'm a firm believer of being very direct and very open with everything. Even Sky, she's 4 years old, and I'm like, no, this is how it is, let's discuss this. Your 4-year-old brain may not fully understand, but something will click along the lines if we keep having these conversations as you grow up.
Absolutely.
Normalize the shit.
That's what needs to happen.
I feel like women speak about it more than men.
Yeah, that
and
goes
we
down.
Always talk about the fact of, you know, down the pipeline, the trickle effect of men are taught to suck it the fuck up. Right? You're not a man if you show any signs of weakness.
They're allowed to feel one feeling, and that feeling is anger.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's crazy. It honestly bothers me. It bothers me a whole lot. And I tell all the men in my life that for me, for you to show emotion, for you to cry, that is to me the biggest show of a man that anyone could ever have, to be able to be vulnerable and open and discuss your feelings and show that you have some type of emotion and feeling.
We know they have them. They definitely have them. But they're used to only presenting them through anger. So they need to do some inner work, figure out what they're feeling. I know I needed to, that was my biggest thing. I never knew what I was feeling. Like if people asked me, how are you feeling? Like I literally do not know. Like I don't know what it was that was bothering me. I don't know if I was feeling angry or upset about something or even happy sometimes. Like I did not know. I had to sit back and go through, like, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling it? Like, what is this? So do that inner work. Sit down for a second and be like, what is this? Like, and the more you do it in your head, the more you're going to become comfortable with it and to be able to express it to others.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point, because I feel like when you're just going through the motions, like, oh, I'm feeling anxiety, I don't know why. But if you really stop for a second, you'd be like, oh, hold on, it was this. Or, you know,
there's usually a trigger. I mean, some people have general anxiety. Sometimes I'm just anxious for what I just woke up that way.
For no reason.
That's the way we're going to be today. Yeah. But usually there's a trigger.
Right. It's also understanding that and giving yourself some leeway and some time, and being patient with yourself.
Yes.
You know, give yourself like some grace and just pardon yourself for a second.
Yeah.
Like we all need that. We all need a moment to, ground ourselves and have like a silent moment. But also, like, there are times where I'm just like, okay, I need to be around somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we're not talking, like, just sit here.
Yep.
Oh, hey.
Let's watch a show,
Just
watch a
need to
movie,
know
listen
your
to some
body.
music, hang out, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I'm down for whatever. I
Be
always say
careful with what music you listen to if you're a person like me, though, okay?
it's true.
Very careful.
Try to put on some feel good stuff. I know I've said this before, and I am going to continue saying it forever. Treat yourself like you would your best friend. Like,
Yeah.
be patient with yourself. You're not going to talk like an asshole to your best friend. You're not going to degrade your best friend. You're not going to be like,
Sometimes.
well, yeah, but it depends on your relationship with your best friend and how, I mean,
If they need.
but just treat yourself like you would your best friend. Be kind to yourself. Be patient with yourself. Give yourself some leeway.
Like you would if you had a child. If you have a child, treat yourself the way you would your child. Understanding, compassionate, loving. And if you don't have a child, think about how you treat like a godchild or a niece or nephew. Or even a puppy, if you love puppies.
Yeah.
Something that you
be nice to
absolutely
yourself.
love and cherish and adore.
Yeah.
Treat yourself like you would treat that.
If it's a
We
comic
all
book,
need
like,
tender love and care. Yeah.
treat yourself like a comic book. Be
Do
kind.
You open the pages slowly. Don't rip them.
Yep.
Be gentle.
And for the love of
I think-
God, do not dog ear them. Don't do it. Oh my God, drives me crazy.
I
use
don't even know what that means.
the bending the pages to mark where you are.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, what she said. Don't bend your pages, okay? Whatever she said.
Yeah, I know. Drives me
but yeah,
cuckoo.
honestly, there are a bunch of different signs. Some of the telltale signs are someone who's just disengaged, not being who they normally are for a long period of time. Like, we all need to disengage once in a while, right? But if you notice a difference in someone, don't be afraid to ask them, like, hey, are you okay? And if they tell you, like, I'm just feeling a little bit whatever, like, if you have a reason to question that they might be having suicidal thoughts, ask the question. Just ask the question, because I'd rather, like, if it was Steph, I'd rather be like, hey, are you having suicidal thoughts? I'd rather she get offended and, like, annoyed that I would even ask that question versus me not asking and then her going and doing something.
Yep.
I'd rather offend you in that moment. Like, bitch, I'll offend you. Like, how dare you ask me? Why do you think I would feel that way? Like, all right, cool. Glad we're here. Glad we're having that conversation. We have that understanding. Like,
Yeah.
but I honestly, I think that we need to ask the question more. And you might be surprised with the answer. And like I said, just because a person does have suicidal thoughts doesn't mean that it's a crisis situation. You have to take each situation and each person into account. I've had friends who have had suicidal thoughts, and we've talked about it, and they're like, all right, cool, I feel so much better. Or, okay, well, the urge is no longer there. Like, you have to assess the situation. You have to say, okay, so you're having these thoughts. Do you have urges to do something? Do you have your plan already? Like, those are major things to ask, and it can be very scary, and you feel like, I don't know what to do when they answer these questions. But if it ever comes to that point and they're saying, like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do, 911. Immediately. Let them be mad at you. They'll get over it. Absolutely get over it. And if they don't get over it, at least your conscience is clear and your heart is clear, and you know you did what you had to do for the person that you care about and love.
Yep.
Period, poo.
But I guarantee you, when they come out on the other side, they will be grateful for it.
Oh, yeah. They're going to be angry as fuck, and they're going to say some mean shit to you through that ride. but once they come out on the other side, it'll be a whole different story.
Mm-hmm.
You
It
know?
does always get better. I know that seems like cliche now, but it really does. It like you give it some time, and it does get better. It really does.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. Like, if anyone listening or watching has struggled or is struggling, that, just know you're not alone. It seems like you're alone, but you're really not. Um, there's someone else that's going through the same thing. There's someone that cares. I truly, genuinely care for everyone, even people I don't know.
Facts.
Like, I care about you. Your life matters. I want you here. Even if I've never talked to you before, I got love for you in this big old juicy heart of mine. Okay? Like, I genuinely feel people's energy and love. And even, like I said, like, even if I don't know you, like, I feel your energy when I come in contact with you. Um, it's something special. I feel like people don't realize that their place on this earth is meaningful,
Absolutely.
and we take it for granted a lot. Damn it, a lot. Um, we have to cherish each moment and live in the moment. And people who
Mm-hmm.
are suicidal are not living in the moment.
Right.
They're living in a moment, but not the present one. And
Correct.
you got to get them back into this one.
Yep.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
That's
No,
reel it in.
it's true.
Reel it in.
It's
Come
true.
sit with me for a minute. Um, I can sit with you. Sit down. I might be goofy. I might annoy the fuck out of you, but I'm here.
Yep.
um, but honestly, like, even just watching a podcast or listening to different podcasts can help you out too. Like, so if you feel like you're alone, like, get online and interact with people. Um, if you don't have anyone around you physically, like during the pandemic, VR was like a huge outlet
Yep.
for our whole group. Like, we have a group of friends that we play with, and um, everyone struggled with their own situation throughout the pandemic, and it was very difficult and hard being away from people and feeling disassociated and disengaged from life in general,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to get on into this virtual world, not be judged, be yourself.
Right.
We've met some amazing people,
Facts.
and just doing stuff like that can help you out mentally. Like, get on there and find your people.
Yep. They're out there. We're out there. Everyone's got their people. And it's so easy to find people now. Whereas before, like before the internet and before all that, you were compacted to whoever was in your neighborhood or whoever was around you. And now, I mean, you can make besties with someone completely around the world. It's crazy. Crazy.
I was chatting with a dude from Wales last night. He was
Yeah.
crazy
I got
too.
friends in the UK. I got friends in Australia. Like, it's
Yeah.
so cool.
Just put yourself out there and just know you're meant to be there in that space and time. And your feelings are valid, whether they be far fetched, to the left, to the right, going in circles. They're valid for a reason. You're feeling that way for a reason,
Hmm.
but it's gonna pass, and that's something that you really just gotta keep in mind.
It all passes. Yep. Do basic things.
Absolutely.
Take a shower, grab some food, grab some water if you can't grab food. Like,
Sometimes a shower just makes you feel so much better.
it changes everything.
And that can be the hardest thing for someone who's depressed, or for someone who is like in that moment of like suicidal thoughts and like a whirlwind. Like, getting up and taking a shower
Hmm.
can be the world of a difference. Like, you just feel different.
Yep.
And not because you washed your ass, but because you just standing there in that moment and just feel the water hitting you.
Yep.
It's very calming and very cleansing. Water for me is very cleansing. I mean, if you have a water phobia, then a shower might not be right for you. You might want to find something
Yeah.
else. Go stick your feet in the sand or in the grass and wiggle your toes and just feel something other than what you're feeling in your head. You got to get out of your mental feels and feel something physically.
Yep. It's true. But just doing a couple little things, so it really, my voice went, just doing a couple little things will really, it just, little things. Put on deodorant if you can't do the shower, you know? Like, if you're not there yet, like...
Spray perfume or
Yeah.
body spray. Like, the scents and, like, smells and visual effects of things can really take you out of an element. People don't realize, like, that stuff around you, like getting a whiff of a smell of something can, like, make your mood change.
Absolutely. Smell is huge.
You know,
yeah.
and yeah, that's why, like, a lot of people, like, look into it. Essential oils stuff is big on essential oils, but even in hospitals for healing, they've started, you know, having people walk around with a bunch of different essential oils and having you smell them and giving you, you know, little pieces of fabric that have the oil on them to smell, because smell really does change your mental.
It really does.
It really has a huge effect on it. It can be calming, it can be uplifting. There's so many different things that can happen, and that's why I say, like, you ever, like, walk past the kitchen and you, like, smell a pie or cookies and you're like, ooh, oh, that made me feel so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it really just changes
Absolutely.
your whole mental. So getting yourself out of whatever stale environment you're in, just changing the smell for a minute, going outside, fresh air, unless you have allergies, that might not be that great of an idea. So don't be like, Donna, you told me to go outside and sniff and now I'm sneezing. Don't blame me. If you got allergies, don't step outside. Spray something in your house. You're not putting that on me, okay? I'm just giving examples here, people. You gotta take it for what works for you, damn it. So do something like that, okay? Like, just change the smell. That's huge.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
There's so many small things that can change your whole mental state. And that's why it's so fragile, and people don't realize how fragile the mental state is and how easy it can be manipulated and changed. To do that, bring something smell good to your friends. Sniff this, bitch. Sniff it. But in all serious, guys, like, I love to joke around and everything, but it's very serious. And if you're struggling or you know someone's struggling, just Google suicide prevention. All the help that you need will come up. Google in your area, because in specific states and even specific cities, there are organizations that can help, outreach programs that can help, different things, you know. We're not always, as humans, equipped to be able to help as we want to.
Right.
And sometimes we need the help too, you know, as someone who's a friend or a loved one of someone who's struggling. We need to get help.
Mm-hmm.
We need to say, how the fuck can I get through this too? Like, it's daunting on all parties involved. And don't for one second think that, you know, if you have a family member that has attempted suicide, that you're going to be okay mentally, because you're going to need the help. While they're getting their help, you need to get the help as well.
Absolutely.
Because it's a very traumatic experience, whether we realize it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be constantly in fear in the back of your mind of, is this going to happen again? When is it going to happen again? It's like a ticking time bomb.
You need to also know too that you can only control so much. Like, you can only control yourself. So you cannot control other people's feelings or thoughts or actions or any of those things. So you need to, like, it's like with the airplane. They always tell you to put the oxygen mask on you first. Take care of you. Make sure you're good, because otherwise you cannot help others. So get that help. If even if it's a family member that's in crisis, you're going to need that help too. You're going to need someone to lean on.
Absolutely. Agreed. I agree.
Yep.
So, moral of today's story: aka podcast, aka love session, is be gentle with yourself, be gentle with everyone else, be kind, be loving, and really just know that it's not your fault. There's nothing that you did or can do that's going to change any outcome. Um, this will say things that will make you want to pull away, and that's their whole purpose, right? They want to
Isolate themselves.
disengage
Yeah.
and disengage and isolate and get away from people who care because they don't want that guilt on their mind for when they do what they're going to do. So don't get angry, don't take it personal. Stick it out, stick through it, and say, nah, bitch, I ain't going nowhere. I'm right here. I'm right here. No matter what you say or do, I'm right here. I love you. I'm not going. Uh, but also be kind to yourself and be graceful to yourself, because there's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can take, and know when to get help. Don't take it all on yourself. Like, I loved to take everything on myself. I loved to be the fixer of all. I was always that person to everyone came to me like, hey, can I talk? And it got so much on me that I got sunk into that dark place. And I
Yeah.
was so busy helping everyone else that I couldn't even stand up on my own 2 feet.
Yeah. Got to put
You
that
know,
oxygen mask on first,
care
baby.
of yourself.
Yeah.
Right. You got to take care of yourself. And then you can help who you can help. But know your limitations and know when to get outside help. Okay. So we are going to have some links. We're going to have some information on different stuff to be able to look at, informational things just about suicide prevention itself, some basic signs to look for. And again, ask the question. Ask the question. Are you suicidal? Do you have a plan? When do you plan on doing it? That's going to give you clear indications of how deep the crisis is and if you need to get immediate medical help for that person. Okay? But be gentle with yourselves, guys. Know that each one of you are loved tremendously,
Yep.
especially by us. We love y'all. Even
Every
if we
single
don't
one.
know who you are. Even if you haven't interacted and you're just watching or listening for the first time, you're fucking loved, damn it. You're loved. Okay? I love y'all. And on that note, if you or a loved one needs help, go get it. Just get it. There's so many resources at our fingertips now. And we want you here. We all have a purpose in this life, and life is short. You got to take it day by day, and ending your own life, um, it's not benefiting you or anyone else. You may feel like it is, but again, say it again, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And it's all temporary, no matter how daunting it feels, no matter how long it's been going on. You're never going to get out of that until you get the true help that you need, because it's going to continue. That's just what trauma does.
Yep.
You get stuck in that trauma mindset.
It's a trauma
everything
loop.
Yeah. It's never ending until you get the help. So with that, my loves, be gentle and kind to yourself. Until next time, we're thinking of you. We love you. Be kind to yourself. Fuck everybody else, fuck everybody else. Mentally be kind to yourself. Love yourself, but love everyone else as well, because we all need it. Just remember, it's all a bunch of BS.
Bye.
Boom shakalaka. I really kept sliding. I had to put my elbow into the chair. These pants are slippery, bitch. Where was I going?
Maybe you need
see
to put
me
a
leaning?
towel down. Yeah. Maybe you need to put a towel down next time you wear those ones, so it doesn't slide as much or something. I don't know.
Have to
For some
be
friction.
naked. Be naked on the bottom
Then
and
you're
just
gonna
got
be
my
cold.
butt and thighs poking into the chair.
But then you're gonna be cold.
Oh, I can't be sliding. I was sliding. No. You know how bad I was sliding? My elbow, I'm over here holding myself in place. I got my leg planted, my knee is cramped because
Oh,
I'm stay right here, bitch, because I can't just be keep going and scooting back up. See, I sliding already. I
crazy.
feel it. You know, you feel that little slow. Can you stop it, please, booty?
Um,
My booty's big. My booty should just suction to the damn chair no matter what the pants are.
did you want to
Shit.
record a quick trigger warning that I can plop into the front of it?
Oh,
Because
yeah,
I
I
don't
could
think
do
we
that.
really said trigger warning when we started. We just kind of jumped into it. So I want to throw a trigger warning on the front just to. You don't even need
Yeah,
just be like, hey, this is sensitive subject, whatever, blah blah blah. You don't need to do your whole intro or
sure.
whatever.
Why not? Duh. Okay. You want me to do it now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You still recording?
Yep.
You recorded all my booty juice
Yeah, that's
sliding
going on
and
the end
all.
of the episode.
That's great.
Yep.
Yeah, of course. Of course it is. Of course. Why wouldn't it? Boom. Boom like an 808. My booty sliding out of my chair. You ever feel like you're on a ride? You know, the gravity is just pulling you when you're on those rides and you're just like slide. You just see me slowly slide it down through the podcast. Where's she going?
No one
Oh, you
knows.
know. I'll be back. Alright. My bad.
I'm gonna have to put the snort in there now too. Great.